Hey, so many people joining in. Ciao Irene. Hey!
Good. Hello.
Hello! Welcome. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. It's hot in Rome, so we're starting our summertime. And
Ah, nice.
yeah, no, not so nice for writing, because you don't move
I
your,
get sweaty arms. Right. I forget about that.
yeah, but we've got air conditioning, so that's good. So,
Good.
just chatting a bit to give time to people to join in.
Yeah.
Hey, Heather is joining.
Yeah.
Wait. Let me see. Oh, so many people. Tell us where you are joining in from. I see some Italian friends, um, some American. Hello, Kate is there. My other half in the European Pointed Pen Collective. Hey, so many people.
You got Mumbai in the
Colombia.
house,
Way.
Colombia. Awesome.
Washington. Wonderful.
Cool.
London calling
India.
from
India.
India, Boston, Indiana.
Canada.
Hey, from Canada. Okay, Florida is here. Wow. Birmingham.
Man, go.
Again, Italy, Japan. Hey, we've got Japan. Yay.
Oh,
Okay, so let's
sweet.
get started.
Sure.
Since Instagram changed the way we save the live, did you notice that? Yeah, you noticed that because you've gone live before, and
Yeah.
yeah, it's
The
going to
one thing I
be
will say, because now they let you put it right to your or your IGTV.
exactly.
Or you can just save it to your phone. My previous lives, I just saved to my phone because I was going to put them on IGTV later, but they didn't
So
save, so they're
yeah, because
gone
no, yeah,
because they've been on the
ouch,
story for 24 hours even.
yeah,
So they're just gone.
yeah. That
So
thing is that
directly to IGTV.
yeah, on IGTV, did you see that when you rewatch the live, there's no comment at all? They don't save the
Oh,
comments. Yeah,
I haven't
it's
rewatched anybody's live, so I
yeah.
haven't seen
So
that. Okay.
you speak and answering to people during the live, and then when you rewatch, you look at like a crazy person because there's
No
no
idea what the
comment. Yeah,
questions
no
are.
comment coming in. So that's yeah, totally crazy. Anyways,
I think it's
um,
cool that they can be saved forever, though. I think that's great now.
yeah, that's great. Yeah, definitely. Okay. So I'm watching myself on the phone and on the iPad and rewatching. There's a lap of time and rewatching me. I really speak with my hands. Sorry about that.
Okay. I mumble and I'm a dancer, so I'm
Gesture.
very much
Okay.
moving. So
Good.
I'm right
Okay.
with you there.
So I'm feeling home. Okay.
Yes.
So let's start with our chat. This is the very first question is my personal question. What does G stands for? I've been
It's my middle
asking
name.
myself. Okay,
My full name is Michael Gordon Ward. So Gordon is
Gordon.
my middle name. Yeah, it
Okay.
was named after my grandfather. So MG
Beautiful.
Ward is Michael Gordon Ward.
Good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Easy one.
Now to your calligraphy. Why Spencerian and ornamental penmanship? Because everybody is starting with something else.
Most people, I guess, I mean, the go-to is to start with copperplate or engrosser script. That's kind of
Exactly.
more
Yeah.
modern, I guess, now. Um, For me, I got into penmanship by trying to improve my handwriting. I was
Mm-hmm.
into fountain pens and all that kind of stuff, and I liked the flexi writing, but I just wanted to improve my regular handwriting. So
Okay.
that's when I found the IAMPID website and Palmer method, which I was studying a little bit. I played with more of I can't call it copperplate or engrosser script back then because it was completely untrained, but I played with shaded script
Mm-hmm.
very not a lot before I got started in penmanship. But studying Palmer method very lightly when I first got started, I stumbled across Spencerian, which
Mm-hmm.
was like the combination of the shaded writing with Palmer method, and I mean, I can't explain why. I call it my sort of Alice in Wonderland rabbit hole. I saw it and I just was like, oh, this is cool. I didn't know
Uh-huh.
about the speed or I didn't know anything about it. I just thought it looked gorgeous, dove into it, and I've been falling down that rabbit hole nonstop ever since.
Good.
'Cause it's just fun for me, and
Mm-hmm.
it never stops being fun. Like it's
Uh,
been fun for different reasons. Like
uh-huh.
studying and learning the forms I found really fun. And then playing with flourishes and building them was really fun. And that's when I used to write really slow. And then I transitioned into movement writing.
Oh,
And
really? Did
now,
you? Oh,
oh, I wrote
that's
slow for like
interesting. That's
3 years.
interesting. Uh-huh.
Yeah, very similar to if you've seen samples of like how Michael Saul writes. I
Mm-hmm.
wrote very, very slow, and I still write slow when I do a lot of commission pieces and stuff like that, just because of the margin for error in ornamental penmanship.
Sure.
It's really easy to make a really big mistake. Um, Hopefully not one day. Hopefully I'll be able to do it really good one day, but for now, um, I don't trust myself. But
Okay.
yeah, so now I love it because now with the movement writing, it's like it's more than ever like dance for me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's just all playtime. I absolutely love it. It
Uh-huh.
makes me
When did
really
you?
happy to write it.
Yeah. When did you? When did you come across calligraphy or cursive handwriting? How long ago?
I got into it probably like 2011, 2010,
Okay,
2011. I think was when I
10-ish
sort of first
years.
discovered it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I had known about calligraphy. I think like a lot of kids, I went through a broad pen, a very short and not good broad pen phase when I was in like grade 7 when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
I had the I don't remember the brand, but the Schaefer broad pen nibs
Okay.
and
Yeah.
played with Old English and stuff. But I discovered Spencerian probably around 2010, 2011.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's been love ever since.
Yeah, it's it's if I take a day off, I mean now it's what I do. But back
Mm-hmm.
then I was dancing and doing other things for work and for life. So my days off would be playing with pens and playing with writing. So
How long?
it was
Yeah.
my free time.
Okay. How long did you practice when you were a beginner? Because in my mind, especially ornamental penmanship is like something that you really have to be constantly studying and very um, yeah co- constant, I would say. Well, every day at least 2-3 hours in my mind, to really get that movement and that rhythm. And
I'm probably a bad example of how somebody should start, or the way I started for how
mm,
somebody should start Spencerian or ornamental penmanship if they want to really get into it. Because I started extremely casually.
mm,
I liked writing letters, and for me, when I first started, it was more about the pens than it
okay.
was about the writing itself. Um, but I would just practice basically when I wanted to. So it wasn't like I was told like you should practice at least 30 minutes a day and do your drills and all that kind of stuff. And I went through phases. There was
Mm-hmm,
times when I did my 30 minutes or I wouldn't set a clock or anything.
mm-hmm.
But I would try to practice every day. But if I didn't feel like practicing, I wouldn't
Okay, you didn't.
practice
Yeah.
basically because I didn't have, I mean, calligraphy wasn't a future for
Mm-hmm,
me. I
mm-hmm,
didn't
mm-hmm,
think of it that way. It was just what I wanted to do in the moment. I didn't want to turn on a video game. I wanted to sit and write a letter or something
mm-hmm,
like that.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So luckily, I am obsessive a little bit when I get into things. I do an extreme deep dive when I get into things. So when I wanted to practice, I will practice, and it's the same today. When I really want to, when I get the urge to study or practice, it's
Woo.
hours, days, weeks go by. But then at the same turn, when I'm into something else, like if I'm really passionate about wood carving or something at that moment, weeks will go by where I won't even touch a pen. And
Mm,
there's never any guilt there because it's just where my sort of goals are with it. I do it when I want. Luckily, I
Okay.
want to all the time.
Mm,
So
good. Yeah.
I tried to do the 30 minutes a day. And when I practiced, I did, I was good at keeping the balance between
Studying. Yeah.
um, studying and practicing. I think I studied probably, especially now, I study a lot more than I work. And
Mm.
by study, I mean I look through the books and I find inspiration in them. It's
Ob
less about
observe.
analyzing.
Yeah. Watching and yeah.
I know people see the posts with me breaking down the signatures and stuff that we do
Oh
for my
yeah, that's
challenge,
cool. Yeah.
and that's more so to help people or to help sort of have people be not so scared of the signatures. I
Mm-hmm.
don't
Mm-hmm.
really break things down. Like I don't do that in my regular normal work. It's fun to do that, but it's the dancer in me just likes to go for it.
Yeah.
I just like to dive in,
So
basically.
yeah, let's um let's see if my thinking is good, because I used to dance as well, and I find that when I personally found in my calligraphy um, the perfect body posture to my desk and um, the match between the nib and the paper and the ink, you know, the perfect condition to write, it felt absolutely like dancing on a floor. So
Yeah,
do you have the same feeling?
yeah. I mean, that's, I would say more so with now that I'm doing a lot of movement writing. Movement writing definitely, I mean,
Oh
it
yeah.
feels like dance. Especially
Mm-hmm.
like when I teach it in person, I speak in rhythms and I teach it like a dance class.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, there was, I mean, in the old books, like Mary Champion used to teach business writing, and she would recommend specific waltz records for specific drills that she taught. So it's
Oh,
not a new
beautiful.
concept.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's something that is from the old books, but it's just a way that it's natural for me. I've been teaching dance for so long that
Mm-hmm.
it feels like dancing. When I was writing slower, um, potentially a little bit less because then it was more about the form and more so like creating the art. So it's
Mm-hmm.
still as expressive as dancing, but it doesn't have or it didn't have the same
Mm.
feeling
Yeah.
basically.
Okay. Okay. Still, talking about practice, I know that many come to you and are curious, ask questions about how do you practice, which is your favorite holder, paper and nibs and so on. So just give some advice to people that are starting with Spencerian or ornamental penmanship, if there are any materials that um, you feel that you would suggest to people.
For practicing and getting
Mm,
started, I definitely ink wise, I always recommend walnut. It is
okay.
and will probably always be my favorite,
Mm-hmm.
primarily because it's no nonsense. It gives a decent hairline, flows good, and it doesn't hurt your nibs. So if you're just
Oh yeah.
practicing, you're gonna get a lot more longevity out of whatever nib you're using.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Also, I think for me personally, my writing looks better with walnut ink than it does with sumi or acrylic inks and things like that. Like
Mm.
even Old World and some of like the really dark black inks, walnut and even some of the iron gall inks are a little they feel more forgiving. I don't know if they are. Um, but walnut ink I always recommend uh, a good oblique holder,
Mm.
and there is no best oblique holder. There's just learning how to make an oblique holder work for you.
Finding
Um,
yours, yeah.
yeah, well, and it's really, you hear it all the time. You could take a twig from a tree in your backyard, put a flange in it, and if it fits
And
in
you
your
go,
hand
yeah.
and it feels comfortable, it's perfect. I would say, and like Dr. Joe has some videos on this, I have a YouTube video on this, learning and getting comfortable with flange
Adjusting, yeah. Mm-hmm.
manipulation and
Yeah.
flange adjustment is, I think, super, super helpful and sort of a not misunderstood, but just not understood aspect of the penmanship thing, in
Mm-hmm.
my opinion, anyways. Just because we all hold the pen slightly different. Um, And with this metal flange, literally any pen can be made perfect for
Yeah,
us, as
to your
long as we
hand. Yeah.
understand how to manipulate them and stuff like that. So a good oblique holder, and good doesn't mean expensive. If you want
Yeah,
a
sure.
$300, $500 oblique holder, cool. Some of my favorites are 12,
Cheap.
$5
Yeah.
holders. Yeah, they work the same basically. I always I'm a fan of light ones.
Uh-huh.
If it's if I can
Me,
feel
me
it,
too.
for me it's
Mm,
too heavy.
yeah.
Um, I know some people like wider, thinner. I like the traditional vintage ones, so they're quite thin, but really just a good holder. And good paper. My personal favorite is I'm a Rhodia guy,
Oh.
always have been. My favorite Rhodia is the Rhodia R Premium Ivory paper.
Mm-hmm.
It's not so much because it's the premium smoother, or it's just the only way to get Rhodia in ivory. So I like
Mm-hmm.
the Rhodia ivory paper. But Rhodia paper, or any paper that feels and acts like Rhodia, um, I would use those. But for practice, it's I think so long as you have your main bases covered, nib. I guess we should talk about nib. If
Yeah, talk
you're
about me.
first starting out, if you're very first starting out with Spencerian ornamental penmanship, I highly recommend starting with like a Nico G or a Zebra G nib.
Okay.
Um, until you get the use, or until you get the feeling for having a light enough hand and things like that. If you don't have a light hand, when you're learning the forms, then
Mm-hmm.
using a more flexible and finer pen like a Hunt
It's
101 or
frustrating.
Letter
Yeah.
Principle, it's just going to be frustrating. So you're
Yeah.
just adding extra stress, and that's unnecessary. I like things to be completely
Brian is
non.
asking. Okay.
Yeah. Brian's asking if uh, would I
Do
ever
you ever
practice with a
practice with
ballpoint
ball
or a
pen?
pencil? Um, when I'm the only time I never practiced with a ballpoint, and that's for no real reason other than I don't think I have a single ballpoint within reach. I'm a fountain pen. I was a fountain pen guy before getting into
Okay.
Spencerian,
That
so I
helps.
would practice with a fountain pen, but that's just because what I have. I don't really have ballpoints. Nothing against them. Um, I do practice with pencil, but that's primarily for when I'm training my muscles for learning specific
Okay.
shapes and things
Mm-hmm.
like that. Just because there's no sense wasting ink. There's no sense doing like why? It's just extra. Again, it's extra stress. I want to
Mm-hmm.
take
Mm-hmm.
away all the things that add stress so I can focus on one specific thing.
Mm-hmm.
Once that
Mm-hmm.
feels comfortable, then you add like one level of stress.
Yeah.
You get a nib. See if you can do the same thing with that nib. And then you add uh, different ink, and then you add shades. And so it just sort of, then you get compound growth. So you can always
Okay, so
go back
basically
to,
very simple things. You don't need
yeah,
super extra expensive materials to get started.
no. Extra things
Okay.
are cool, but totally, in my opinion, anyways, unnecessary. I need
Okay.
a holder, some paper, a nib, and some cheap ink crystals, and we're done.
Good.
It's fun to
Okay.
have the other stuff, but
Before we want to dive in talking about nibs a little bit, but before switching, going deeper into nibs, someone sent us a question about blotters. So, do you recommend having a soft surface beneath your practice paper, or just
definitely.
go on the desk and that's all?
I think when you're writing with a pointed pen, having a cushioned surface of some kind, and even if it's like 5 pieces of paper underneath the paper you're writing on,
Yeah,
it's I won't get into the why the paper presses back up into your nib and why
yeah,
it
the
makes it better.
spring. Yeah.
It just feels better.
Hmm.
It just you'll get, in my opinion, I think you get cleaner hairlines, and it just feels nicer. Your work, I think, is going to look and feel better writing on something cushiony. I know a lot of people use craft foam. Like I
Yeah.
said, paper. You can literally use anything. I personally am a leather guy,
Yeah.
so I use leather. But anything with a little bit of cushion, like you could potentially use felt, would be kind of
Hmm.
cool,
Hmm.
maybe,
Hmm.
as long as it's not thick enough. If it's too thick, then you're raising your arm sort of off the table, and it's like writing on a book. You want to be as close to your table surface as you can.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, something to give a little bit of cushion, I would highly recommend.
Good.
Like I know
Okay.
there's people in, I have one friend in Germany who just takes a piece of paper and crumples it up
Whoa.
and then flattens it out again and then puts his piece of paper on top and writes on that. He now
Isn't
has
that too
a
too
blotter from
much?
me, so he
I
doesn't do
don't
that
know.
anymore.
Oh,
Nick DeQuano, who you guys had on the other
yeah.
day, you can see when he writes, he'll sometimes have the paper, it seems like it's folded, so it's like
Yeah.
super springy.
I saw
I
that.
don't really like that. I think that's neat. I have before and it's cool. But it's just something to give that feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So the paper is sort of floating up, so you're not. I, we don't have to get all super technical, but yes,
No,
I
yeah,
think it's
okay, okay. And it's anyways something that people can try, and if they don't like it, they can go back
yeah.
to a
If you
super
prefer
flat
writing on a hard
surface.
surface,
Yeah,
write on a hard surface. Yeah, whatever you
yeah.
like best.
Uh-huh.
And it's not to be confused. Somebody asked blotting paper, not to be confused with like there was blotting paper back in the day that was used sort of to they would put it over top to get rid of the excess ink.
Yeah,
It's sort of
exactly,
it's a
Rachel.
different
That's
thing.
Rachel
Um,
asking the
Same
question. Yeah.
name, but I guess that makes it a little bit confusing. There's a blotter, which is a cushion surface, or there's a blotter, which you use to suck up the excess ink. So
Mm-hmm.
two
Mm-hmm.
sort of different things.
Okay. So we've got lots of questions. So now nibs, vintage nibs. I want to talk about vintage nibs because we've got some message uh, between the two of us, and there are crazy prices out there for vintage nibs.
Yes.
So, do we really need vintage nibs? I mean, I think the feeling to write with a vintage nib in good condition must be wonderful. But I also think my wallet will be crying all the time if I use iron gore and I get that nib gone in 2 weeks. I
Oh,
mean,
not even. If I use Iron Gall ink, especially if I'm using like Brian Walker's or blots, and I use like an old 604 EF or something, it's a day. I mean, in that, give
wow.
me like a couple hours of writing, and it's still going to be a usable nib probably after, but the
But not
benefits
perfect.
that I
Yeah.
feel like I'll gain from using a vintage Dream Point nib are gone.
Mm-hmm.
In my personal opinion, and I have to stress that very much so because I'm known for having I'm very opinionated when it comes to nibs and the prices of nibs and things like that. In my personal opinion, the prices are crazy and it is completely not worth it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to tell people where to spend their money. If they want to
Sure.
buy nibs and pay a lot, by all means,
Sure.
spend your money however you want. But one of the main reasons why I sort of actively post about how I think it's too expensive is I don't want a student or somebody who's new getting into it think that like these nibs are going to make
Yeah.
worlds of difference in your writing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Honestly, there's probably a handful of people who would really feel the difference between one of those dream points then to a good batch of a Hunt 101 or a Leonard Principle or a Gillot 303.
Yeah.
I personally feel like I'm one of those people that could benefit, and I have no desire, I have no need to use a vintage nib. I
Mm-hmm.
get the hairlines that come out of my Hunt 101 are as good as I need them to be. Um, so for me, buying a disposable item, it's like going to the pharmacy and spending $40 on a disposable razor. Nobody would do that. So, like, you spend $40 on a razor that's going to last, but not on a one that you're going to throw in the garbage in a week. That's silly.
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
disposable shouldn't be expensive.
One of my consideration when we spoke about vintage nibs was that I would rather have a group of calligraphers getting in touch with nib producers and ask to improve quality of their products, because it happens that you buy a batch of modern nibs and half of them are not usable at all. So do you know if someone is working on that aspect or not already? Or
I am sort of working with loosely. Unfortunately, with a lot of companies, it's not seen as a huge priority
mm-hmm,
because of just the niche world of calligraphy. But as it's
Yeah.
growing, I don't know that a lot of manufacturers are aware
Mm-hmm.
of how big the demand sort of is. And I personally kind of take the stand of rather than fixing quality control, the reason modern nibs today can't be as good, and you hear it all the time, can't be as good as the
Sure.
vintage ones, is we don't have the people inspecting and cross grinding every single nib that comes
Mm-hmm.
off the factory line.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I agree with that. But with today's modern machinery, that step, in my opinion, is unnecessary. But
Mm-hmm.
we're using, and this is, I'm assuming, I haven't been in the factories, but we're using machining and creating the same techniques they used making the nibs
I guess, yeah.
back in the early 1900s. So the best thing, if I could wave my magic wand and make it perfect, it's creating basically a whole new system of making the nib. The problem with that is it's a huge financial undertaking,
Mm.
and there's no proof that there's or that I don't think the businesses see the reason. Like, well, like the nibs are doing good, like making them
Mm.
ever so slightly, maybe a little bit better for a big company may not seem worth it. So it's maybe it's our job to make them see it as worth it.
Exactly.
Because
So
yeah,
if you start a group or a petition or anything, people be sure to sign up. That petition will
please
be
do.
all with you to ask for better
It's
quality.
been a goal of mine, and I've been in
Okay,
communication for a
good.
while now. It's a slow process,
Yeah,
and but it is something that I think it would be awesome if we could get it.
absolutely. Yeah, and
I
everyone
think it's
would
worth it.
benefit from that. Good. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Great. So back to your work. Um, I'm curious now, which is your favorite nib?
My favorite nib, I don't have one favorite. It's you'll hear me say it all the time. I bounce back and forth between the Leonard Principle, the Hunt 101, and the Gillot 303.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I I don't buy nibs. I don't buy less than 100 nibs at a time when I buy them. When there's a good batch, I'll usually stock up on a lot because I know I'm going to use them. So there's
Mm-hmm.
no, I don't like to buy 5 at a time or something like that. Many years ago, maybe 2006 or 7, there was a really good batch of Gillot 303s, and I picked up 2006 or 7, sorry, 16 or 17. There was a
Mm.
really good batch of Gillot 303s, and I bought a whole bunch, but I'm running out now, so I've stopped using them as much.
How did you know that was a good bunch?
I used one, and I used one, and it was good,
Oh,
basically.
okay. So,
Um, yeah, it's yeah, I tried one and it felt really good, so I just bought a whole bunch.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then, but for today, I bounce back and forth primarily between the 101 and the Leonard Principle. There's
Mm-hmm.
no real reason when I switch between them. I'll use a 101 for a while, and when it starts to wear out, I'll replace it with either another 101 or a Leonard Principle.
Mm-hmm.
Leonard Principle, I feel like, is slightly finer. Hunt 101, depending on the batch, will flex a little bit freer. So it's sort of what I'm in the mood for, if I need a good hairline or depending on the paper I'm using. But most of the time, it's just what I put in my pen. One of those two. I have a tin here that's just filled with a bunch of pre-prepped those nibs and some broad pen nibs and stuff like that. But I just grab one of them, put it in, write with it until
And good.
I feel like
Mm-hmm.
not writing with it anymore, and then I switch.
Okay.
So those are my favorites for no real
Good. Good.
reason.
Okay. So, uh, meanwhile, meanwhile, we talk. If anybody has questions for Michael, please put it in the comments and we'll answer those questions later. Um, do you have one special ornamental penmanship hero or
Here,
Spencerian hero that
I
you
have people that
admire?
are. I
Talking
have
about
people that I have.
non-living,
Oh, vintage
non-living. Okay, yeah,
non-living.
yeah, non-living.
Um, I have a few, for sort of different reasons. I will often say my favorite penman was H.P. Bairnsmeyer,
Mm-hmm.
um, primarily not because of immaculate form and things like that, though, I mean, his writing was obviously, his form was incredible. But in all of the studying and whatnot I've done over the years, his work always feels, it just feels more, it feels creative to me.
Mm.
The way he would play with signatures feels similar, not the exact, not the same. Like I'm not trying to copy him, but I'll see things like, oh, that's a good idea, or oh, I did that once, sort of by accident. His he just seemed like he pushed the envelope of creativity without getting like super creative. Like Courtney would draw fish and do all super creative things. He added like his own invented scripts and stuff out of numbers that looked really cool. Bairnsmeyer wasn't that so much. It was just creative use of flourish and shade. Um, so I call him my favorite for that because that's what I would aspire to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then favorite as far as form would have to be E.W. Bloser or Lupfer would be the two,
Okay.
just because they're immaculate.
Mm-hmm.
Bloser was sort of I think, a really good balance between creative and also just like a computer.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can't go wrong with really any of them. Vader, Monteros, all those guys. Canan. I like them all for different reasons, but probably Bloser and Bairnsmeyer are my two. They would be the two most notable names in my brain, I think.
Ah, okay. Someone is asking who mentored you and how.
Who mentored me? So I first got into penmanship through Michael Sull,
Mm-hmm.
going to fountain pen shows and watching him uh, do his what he does, do his
Yeah.
magic.
Demonstration.
He
Yeah.
was the
Mm-hmm.
one. Yeah, he was the first class I took. It was a private lesson, not sorry, a small lesson. It wasn't a private, but a small group in Los Angeles. And then from there, I joined IAMPIT, took his class again, met the rest of the world of penmanship, and since then, it's sort of been everybody that teaches penmanship.
Mm.
Um, I think sort of artistically and creatively, um, Michael Saul was the major mentor to me, just sort of instilling the love of
Mm-hmm.
penmanship, more so than specific like one-on-one that type of training. Definitely that was
Tutor.
there as
Yeah.
well.
Mm-hmm.
But like I trained with Harvest quite a bit, taking like the Spencerian sagas and things like that.
Yeah.
I've learned from a lot of people. Yeah.
Well, that's it. So, and in Ayampeth, am I wrong? You had or you have, I don't know if it's still active, Society for Young Penmen. Was it a group of young people?
Was
Yeah.
never a real thing. It was my first IAMPIT, which was 2015, I believe, when we were in Indianapolis.
Mm-hmm.
There was Instagram calligraphy was very new. There was not a whole lot of young Instagram calligraphers,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and we were there. I think there was one or two tables of us, and we just hung out. So
Mm-hmm.
that was sort of the beginning of the study rooms that would stay up late. We didn't have a room. We just hung out in the
Stay up
lobby.
late.
So,
Mm.
so it was never an official group. It was just young calligraphers who hung out.
Hanging
And
out,
as a
yeah.
joke, yeah, as a joke, we called ourselves the Young Penman Society.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Um, and we would, again, because of our connection through Instagram and whatnot, we started a thing, again, not a real thing, but as friends, we started doing a thing like a mid-year meetup. Halfway through the year, we missed each other because we didn't get to see each other, so we all flew to Vegas and hung out for a week. We rented an Airbnb and hung out for a week, wrote,
Beautiful.
and then that was that. So it was never a real thing.
Yeah.
2014, I have it.
No
Yeah, it
structure,
was just.
but yeah, no structure, but
I know
it,
some people thought we were like a real organization type thing, but absolutely not. We were just a group of friends who like to hang out, write, drink wine, and play, basically.
well, from outside, I can tell you that gave us, or at least me, it gave me a feeling that you can do a profession out of calligraphy. Because if you see young people putting all that effort into learning and investing times and financially investing in an education like that, that means that calligraphy can become a profession. Do
Oh,
you
for
think
sure.
so? Yeah. So it's
Definitely.
not
Yeah.
obsolete.
Oh, I don't think by any stretch of the imagination. If anything, I think it's bigger now than it has been for a long time.
Yeah.
Um, because of the internet and all that kind of stuff. It's insanely. I mean, people are starting calligraphy specifically because they see people's business in calligraphy, which is super cool.
Yeah.
Um,
I
it's
was
become an aspiring thing for
I was
young
listening
people.
to one of your lives the other day, and you said more than one time, and that sounded a bit strange, that you're not a calligrapher by profession. Um, and
Not
what do you,
really,
yeah,
no.
why don't you feel
Um,
a calligrapher or a penman by
and
profession?
it's not like it's nothing going back. I don't feel like I'm like a professional. I'm definitely a professional calligrapher. But I'm specifically I teach
Hmm.
calligraphy. So I'm a professional calligrapher that way, or it's my profession that way. I the forms and whatnot translate to like the leather and the foiling and all that kind of stuff. But as far as physically writing,
Hmm.
I don't honestly remember the last time I was paid for writing something. It's not like ornamental penmanship is something that has never been a business. It's never been financial, which is
Okay.
cool. I mean, I would like it to be a financially thing, but it's not something I've ever pushed for. So it's not surprising that I don't get commissions and stuff for it. It's just
Mm.
something I do that fuels the other sides of my penmanship and calligraphy careers. Does that
Uh-huh.
make sense?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Um, I saw a question for you. Wait, wait. There's someone from India and asking, that's more calligraphy business related, but we try to just chat a bit and see if we can give an answer. How can I make a career in calligraphy? That is a 1 million question, $1 million question. How can I make a career in calligraphy?
I mean, I think there's so many ways that you can create, especially now, that you can do. Certain cities have more than others, but there's so many like online or on-site event type things. Obviously not right now because of the lockdown and quarantine everywhere.
Mm-hmm,
But
mm-hmm,
there's a lot of on-site type of work, or you can get yourself into the wedding industry, something
mm-hmm,
that I've never done. But I mean, a lot of people do a lot of really amazing work in the wedding industry. You can get into the certificate world. You can get into the mural world. There's so many things you could do. So the first thing I would suggest is thinking about and where do you want your career? Like make sure that you don't want a career in calligraphy just because you want a career in calligraphy, but like do you want to write envelopes? Do you want to express and like make people's weddings wicked, or do you want to do a certificates, or do you want to write
mm-hmm.
really big? What aspect of calligraphy do you like? And then find ways to fit that into like a monetary or the financial world, basically.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's what I would suggest.
Yeah, it makes sense. Absolutely.
I'm not the best businessman though, so my advice is probably not always the best to be taken when it comes to business.
Why did you choose to offer an arm movement class? Because that sounds pretty strange. It's not something we are used to take. Arm movement class.
Well, technically it's the way that Spencerian and ornamental penmanship was done. So all the old books that we
Okay.
study from, that's how it was taught. It was all with movement.
Mm-hmm.
And that style of teaching, it exists, but it's not nearly as common as a more
Yeah.
modern way of learning Spencerian and ornamental penmanship these
Mm-hmm.
days, which I do teach that as well. But as had been studying for a number of years now, arm movement and movement writing, And because I've been a teacher in calligraphy and others, I mean, I've been teaching dance for so long, I wanted to create a way to teach that. And
Mm-hmm.
also, people ask for it because it's what people see. People see me write like it. So that's what people want to learn when they see me write. So I created a course or a class that could teach what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
And how's
yeah,
people
basically that's
feedback?
where all my classes.
I'm
Sorry?
curious. What's people feedback after the class?
The class comes with a disclaimer
Oh.
because I have to start the class with a disclaimer because it it's a very difficult class.
Mm-hmm.
Only because movement writing, unlike most other styles of calligraphy, in my opinion, is I train it. It's like a sport. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that I can learn how to do and do. Like it, most things in this, a lot of painting and everything. If you take out all the artistic expression that makes art beautiful, you can usually learn how to do something and do it. And regardless of the speed you're going, you can replicate and whatnot. Whereas movement writing, it's like throwing a fastball in baseball. The only way to train your arm muscles to do that is to throw thousands of attempts at a fastball until you figure out and train that musculature. Because
Mm-hmm.
movement
Mm-hmm.
writing requires muscles that we're not used to doing.
Mm-hmm.
They're muscles we've never really used before, so it's foreign. We don't have that control.
Yeah.
And the only way to gain that control is to let go of our sort of mental. Uh,
Structure. Yeah.
is sort of the hardest for calligraphers who are already quite good,
Mm-hmm.
because you have to be okay to chop that down, and you have to be okay to be terrible for the class because you're building sort of a new foundation to do this new style. So it can be, if your mental state isn't prepared for it, it can be somewhat depressing, I guess, because you go from being really good at what you do to being potentially really bad at something new, which
Uh-huh.
I love because being bad at something is the best because then you have something to work towards. Um, but you have to be prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
So, and
So
in the
that's the
class,
disclaimer. Yeah.
that's the disclaimer. Yeah, in the course of 2 days or a week or however long I teach it, you're not going to get good at it. You're going to understand it, but those muscles take longer to learn. So you're going
Yeah.
to start and end the class not getting much better. Your
Mm-hmm.
understanding will get better, but not
You're
your
not going to
physical.
see. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. You're
Unfortunately,
not.
no. It's not. It's not. There's no way for that to happen. It's impossible.
But I think if people go out from a class and have the right tools to keep practicing in a good way, that's a goal achieved for a teacher. I mean,
Those
you,
are my goals when I take a class. I want to leave the class feeling like, oh, like I got stuff to work on. I
yeah,
like to go into
exactly.
a class, want the
And I
teacher to
know where
spit
to go.
everything out
Yeah,
at me, and then let me absorb it and figure it out later.
yeah, yeah,
Basically,
absolutely. Yeah,
don't hold
Christopher
my
was
hand through it.
commenting. Christopher was commenting. It's like starting over. Absolutely. Yeah, indeed. Indeed.
100%.
It's that feeling. Okay, and let's talk a bit about the signature writing challenge. That is
Sure.
so cool. How did you think about that?
So it's the way I like to. I call it my playtime.
Hmm.
For me, the signature writing challenge um, isn't real practice. It
Hmm.
can translate to real practice, but it's like how we talk about focus practice versus just playing.
Having
For
pleasure,
me,
yeah.
the challenge is it's playtime. So I have my practice sessions where I sit down and I drill specific strokes and things like that, and it's repetitive. I don't film those because they're boring and I can't talk or focus on other things when I'm doing it because I'm focused. But the signature writing challenge, it's so many things are chance. Like when you're doing arm movement writing, it's like cool, I got it. But like,
Oh.
I mean, what we see on Instagram is we see the one post that like people see the one video that I filmed that's really good, but they
Hmm.
don't see like all the
The bin,
practice and all
yeah.
the failed attempts at filming that exercise. Um, so I figured taking an old signature, which I love old signatures, and trying to replicate it exact, trying to take out all of my own personal habits and
Mm-hmm.
design fundamentals, whether I like them or not. I want to try to replicate that exact thing that's on the page. Whether I hit it or not is sort of here nor there. It's just fun to try that, to take out the aspect of chance, so
Mm-hmm.
that I always say, like, I was saying this in the live the other day with shading. Every shade should be intentional. You only put shades where you want them to be.
One. Mm-hmm.
And this is with a signature. These lines should only go exactly where I want them to go, every time. Now,
Mm-hmm.
that would be awesome if that was the case, but that's sort of the goal of that training. So it's something I did myself for, a long time. It was my fun playtime to pick out old specimens, try to duplicate them and things like that. And then I just started posting them. I was going
Mm-hmm.
to do them anyway, so if nobody joined in, it really doesn't matter all that much to me, because I just wanted to do it. So I
Yeah,
started
but
doing it. People were
people
into
are
it.
joining. Yeah.
Yeah, people are having fun, and what I like is it's not about movement. Obviously, I'm doing it with usually whole arm movement or movement writing, but I love seeing the people who are doing them in pencil, people who are using ballpoint and drawing in the shades. It's more just understanding, because then I like to believe that those people who are doing it who don't actually do movement writing, if and when the day comes that they want to get into movement writing, the sort of understanding of where those flourishes can go are slightly less daunting. So, like
Yeah.
we said before, just one of those stress elements taken away. It
Mm-hmm.
makes,
Mm-hmm.
it sort of humanizes the signatures. It's easy to look at them and be like, what? I don't understand that at all. But if you break it
Mm.
down and you walk through it, they're quite easy to understand once you get used to them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's sort of why and how it
Mm.
came about.
Just curious. Do you practice when you decide to practice a new drill or a new signature? Do you pencil it first? I mean, do you practice pencil in monoline or do you go
Yeah,
straight with your,
like when I'm replicating the old signatures and things.
yeah, for example?
Yeah, definitely. One of
Okay.
my favorite things to do. I'm gonna see if I have an example of it here. Um, well, here's so last week we did a signature by SM Blue.
Oh yeah, I
Um,
saw that.
I turn like we do drills, obviously usually ovals, push
Mm-hmm.
pulls, straight lines, and all that. I basically turn every stroke into a drill. So the S becomes
Okay.
a drill, and I'll just do it in pencil. Again, working in pencil because there's no sense wearing out a nib and wasting ink. And this is just crummy computer paper. It's not quality at all. I don't
Mm-hmm.
need good paper if I'm working
Copy
in
paper,
pencil.
yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just the cheapest paper I could get at the store. And I just
Sure.
work in pencil just to, this is again the muscle training. This is
Mm-hmm.
training
Mm-hmm.
my muscle. It has nothing to do with where the shades are and all that. It's just getting used to that flow.
Mm-hmm.
Once I feel like I've got a good grasp on that flow, then I'll go to a paper and use a nib and usually do it just hairline,
Mm-hmm.
um, with that nib until it's feeling comfortable. And then you start to add the shades only where they are required and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, definitely. I do everything I try to learn how to write in movement writing pretty much starts that way with
Okay.
rapid, real like practice.
Just going through some comments in case we've missed questions.
Yeah,
There
my chat got
was,
hung up, so I missed a bunch
okay,
of
so,
stuff in there.
someone
Sorry.
was asking, please come to Italy to teach. So
I would love to. As
next
soon as the
year,
borders are open, I'm
yeah,
there.
exactly. We'll be asking you to go both to London and Rome.
Please.
So, oh
I,
yeah.
I love to. We'll go
Um,
anywhere, anytime.
Someone asking, when are we getting a demo of movement writing on Instagram Live? He's doing lives every week, I think. You're
Yeah.
going live.
Unfortunately, I've been doing, I think the past couple weeks I've done them, and they end up being like 3 hours because I'm chatty and I just turn the live on and people wanted to keep going. And then people who weren't there for the first 2 hours come in for the third hour, so then I hang out with them for an hour. And so I'll be keep doing those. I'm gonna try to start doing some on YouTube just
Mm-hmm.
because I have a little bit more control of the camera quality and focus on YouTube. I'm getting my setup figured out for it. And also I found a way that I can get the YouTube chat to be permanently on the screen so that
Mm-hmm.
when we play back the recordings, the chat and the questions will be
Stays. Uh-huh.
in the recordings. So that's a goal of mine for the next, hopefully within the next month, I'll be starting to
Good.
do some on YouTube.
Okay.
I have a
Um, are you
pen.
teaching? Are you teaching online these weeks? Are you teaching online?
I haven't done anything
No.
online. The only thing I've ever really taught online is I have a signature design course, which is
Mm-hmm.
not movement writing. It just breaks down my process of how I create signatures personally, understanding oval forms and all that through Acorn Arts. But that isn't being run right now. I don't know
Mm-hmm.
when. Well, I'm assuming we're going to run it again, but I don't honestly know when. But other than that, that's the only thing I've done online.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people want movement online, but I don't know how to teach movement writing online yet. Just because to me, it's important for me to see the student writing because that's how I want to address what they're writing, and that's really difficult with online. I want to do
Yeah.
it. I just
Sure.
haven't figured out a way to make it work yet.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Someone asking, do you have a specific time or day maybe when you go live? Do
I
you have a
don't.
fixed day?
I
You
don't have a
don't?
fixed day. It's usually
You
pretty
should.
much nothing in my schedule. I should.
You should.
Again, not a good businessman. I basically sit here and write, and I think to myself, let's turn the camera on. And it's usually quite late, my time, usually around 9 or 10 at night. Um, I don't know when the last one was a couple days ago. But it's usually pretty random. I should create a schedule, but my issue was that with that is I am not good at keeping to schedules. So I end up missing and then I feel bad and so but I don't have one yet.
Okay. So someone asking, when it comes to ornamental penmanship or Spencerian, are the letter forms specific or open to creative forms?
The
Huh.
base letter forms are specific.
Mm-hmm.
There are different variations. If you're doing traditional Spencerian, they're very specific. If you're doing
Mm-hmm.
ornamental penmanship, the base form is specific to basically the way the Zenarians did it, the way the old master penmen wrote the forms, and then it's the flourishes and the extra are not specific. Once you
Mm-hmm.
understand oval forms and interaction and stuff like that. But the most important part is that the form of the letter is very specific. So no matter how much Nick called spaghetti is there, if you take that all away, the standing form is ideally a perfect form.
Mm-hmm.
We don't
Okay.
stray away from that. Otherwise, it's illegible.
Okay. So someone's asking, what is harder, OP or tip tap?
Oh, ornamental penmanship for sure. Ornamental penmanship is the hardest thing in the whole world, in my opinion. Um,
So when did you
but I've
start
also
tip tap?
been I've
When
been
did you?
tap dancing since I was 9 years old. 10 years old, I've
Wow.
been tapping
Wow.
since. So a long time. I didn't really take it seriously till I was an adult, but
Mm-hmm.
I've trained it for a long time.
Oh, okay. There are two people asking, what is the best way to prepare the nib, your nib?
I don't really think there's a best. There's a lot of ways. Some people use the potato method where they stick it in a potato. Some people use a
I
flame.
oh,
I personally use toothpaste. It's what I've always used, and it's never not worked for me.
mm-hmm.
So it's what I continue to use. I use
Okay.
toothpaste. I just give it nib a scrub with a Q-tip and clean, and then I use saliva
Yeah.
basically every time I write. I don't keep jars of water. I don't use
Mm-hmm.
a water dip jar to clean my pen. I just some people find it gross and I apologize, but I just
You
spit a
put it in
little
your
bit.
mouth. Yeah.
No, I don't put the nib in my mouth. Don't do that because of machine oils and things. I
Oh.
just spit on a paper towel just a little bit and then just clean the nib with that
Mm-hmm.
before and after I write, pretty much every time.
Okay. Um, that's this is my question. Just curious. Do you dip your nib before into water and then into iron gall when you use iron
No,
gall? No?
I don't use
Okay.
water at all. I just dip straight into the iron gall.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you can. I mean, there was,
Yeah,
I
because
think
Brian
Brian
Walker
a
did.
lot of people
Yeah,
would do that. Yeah,
Brian
he would
Walker
dip in the
did
water.
that. Just
I've done
and
that in the past.
slowly, yeah. Because that seems to save you longer. No, I'm here.
Oh, we're good. We're back.
Yeah, because we've got, I think, 4 minutes left.
Oh
So,
no,
oh
we
yeah.
need time.
So if someone has questions, please quickly comment for Michael to answer to you. Nice hat, by the way.
Thank you.
So everybody enjoyed the chat? I guess so. I did.
I hope so.
And most importantly, we will look like two crazy people watching
On
watching
TV.
on the bottom of our screen because there will be no comment showing up in the rewatching. So thank you both. Oh, thank you. Hi, Jesus from Mexico. What age did you start? Oh, what age did you start? What?
Did I start
Calligraphy or
writing?
tap dancing? He
Started
just
tap
mentioned.
dancing when I was 10. I started calligraphy when I was, how old was I? How old would I have been in 2011?
Yeah, tell us
I
how old
think I was 27 or 28, I think. I'm 30.
you're.
I'll be
Okay,
37 next week. So,
37.
um, yep, I'll be 37 on the 27th.
Okay, so everybody next week go on Michael's feed and leave a happy
I might do
birthday.
I might do a giveaway. I like to do giveaways for my birthday. I was moving last year, so I missed it. So I might do a giveaway. I don't know what to give away though yet. So I got to think on it. If
Good,
you have
good.
ideas of what I should give away, let me know.
He mentioned people want to know what is your number one go to ink. Well,
Walnut.
yeah.
My favorite iron gall ink. Like if I was doing a piece, if I was doing something that was going to live forever, I would probably use blots
Mm-hmm.
or something similar to it. I've
Mm-hmm.
heard that Brian Walker's ink is very similar. I've actually never used Walker's ink before,
Oh,
for no good reason. I've just never
I have.
had
Yeah,
a
I have
jar
a
of it.
jar sent to you. I have
Um,
a jar sent to you. You have to.
but blots is my favorite, but blots is the hardest on inks or on
Mm-hmm.
nibs, so I don't use it very often. So my favorite is walnut. Uh,
Okay.
my most used iron gall is probably McCaffrey's. Just McCaffrey's Penman Black. I like. I usually buy it in the 4 ounce jars. It's what I use. What I used to use the most before I stopped using iron gall ink for practice.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, we've
Favorite.
got officially 1 minute left.
Oh, not enough time.
Yeah, 60 seconds. What do you, so it's just saying a big thank you to Michael for his time and for being so kind and answering all our questions. And everybody watching us, thank you for joining in. We do hope you had fun as we did. And if you have
Yeah.
questions, just stalk Michael.
If you have questions, let me know them. Honestly, it may take me a while to respond to things because I can be slow with the responding, but I like to answer any questions that come my way. So if you have questions, if something we didn't touch on, please don't hesitate to ask me, because I like answering questions.
Michael, thank you so much. 17, 16, it's a countdown. It's
No,
okay.
not the countdown. Thanks for
Yeah.
coming here,
Thank you
everybody.
so
I
much.
have to say, when we end, be sure that you are falling in love with the process. That's the most important part.
Yeah, absolutely. Bye. Thank you.